Hello, my name is Cush, and this is Mimsey Mack. She's the writer, director, and actress in Death Do Us Part, a film about domestic abuse.
How's he been mean? That's not cool. Has he hurt you physically again?
Don't mind him. It's just the stress.
Today we are going to talk a little bit about her film and her process behind it. Thank you for being here, Mimsey.
Thank you for having me,
Appreciate
Chris.
it. I'm the editor of Death Do Us Part, and we are going to jump right into the interview. So my first question is, what inspired you to write the screenplay and bring Death Do Us Part to life?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I got married young, about 21, and I came from a home that was functionally dysfunctional, and I knew that this would be a forever thing, and I was excited about it. It was based on my faith, knowing that I would live happily ever after, but as it turned out, I didn't know I was being abused. I didn't know what domestic violence was. I thought it was just hard times in marriage. I thought if I got kicked or shoved or spoken poorly to, it was because my husband was under stress, because it always was based on forgiveness. So it took me years to say that I was a domestic violence survivor, because that felt dirty and I didn't want to believe that. So I just pressed through, didn't think about it much until I started seeing the wear and tear on my children. I had a final custody battle that was based on the courts ended up gaslighting me, which meant that everything he did, they believed I did, and it just tore me apart. At that point, I went to Toastmasters and I started to have my voice again, because I felt like I didn't have a voice in the court system. And then I started to write my first speech. And then in 2020, I actually released a music video regarding domestic violence, but it wasn't until one of my daughters actually started to have some mental health challenges. While she was in this ongoing crisis, I was inspired to write this film based on what she had gone through. So that was the original idea, was I just felt like I needed to share the story, because so many people don't know what domestic violence is, and it is a secret pandemic that destroys families and communities. I had a cousin, right when I was starting to feel like I needed to write my story, she had a best friend, same thing. She didn't reach out to friends, and then she ended up being murdered by a husband. And so I started to hear stories from other people that inspired me to share my story.
We're glad you're here to tell it. How did you go about selecting the actors and the crew for this film, and what qualities were you looking for?
Well, it was in the beginning, I thought I was just going to do this quick little film on my phone. I heard about this app I could use. And then I ended up reaching out to Johnny Gabriel through social media. I went to go meet him about booking a gig at Thompson's Park, but he mentioned he was a film writer, and he said that he would check out my screenplay. To my much surprise, he loved it and felt that it was an important message, so I chose him as my film director. The cast, I had a few people that I started out with. The character that plays Blair recommended the character that plays Lance, and it just turned out each person just ended up playing their part so genuinely. Well, and I will say too, the character Angelica, we call her Cupid, she's a musician. Michelle Cupid is a fabulous person, and when I selected her to be my best friend, and the one who ultimately missed all the signs, that was very important to me, because first of all, she would never miss the signs, I don't think, I'm not sure, but she has such a gentle spirit. I felt that I wanted to portray that her character had such a genuine heart, but yet she couldn't believe that my character could have made another mistake, that she had to believe that this was a forever relationship for me, because she wanted the best for me.
I definitely liked editing Angelica's scenes, because she's so friendly, and it's such a tragedy that she missed the signs.
And I would like to add one more thing about the character of Lance. Gustavo, the person behind Lance, he actually struggled with the violent scenes. I had to coach him on how to be tougher because he had been on the other side of it before. So, it was very hard for him to put his hands on me.
Well, I want to ask, can you describe your experience portraying Emily, the main lead and victim in this film, and what the role meant to you personally?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I saw the dysfunction of my mom and dad. I saw how my dad spoke to her. I saw how my mom withdrew, and I didn't want any of that. And so I set up my life to have that never happen. And we had good jobs, we're faithful in church, all these things that I thought would make me not be part of that community of victims. I was much stronger than that. I would not go through that. So when I actually had many versions of the film at first, but there are many pieces of the film that are very autobiographical, and I had an outer body experience when I had the role, so there were very few instances where I felt that reminded me of my situation many years previously. And I think actually what it did for me was empower me as I went through all the steps, because I am still here and I've grown so much from that.
So last, I want to ask, what words or message would you like to share with the world through your film, and what you want this impact to be?
Thank you, Chris. I think as we started filming this back in about 2 years ago, around October-ish, 2023, and since then, many people, come forward and have shared. Thank you for sharing this. It means a lot to me, and it's very personal. One piece that my main part is, I think I have a few impacts I want to see happen. Is one, I want the victim to feel comforted, to know that he or she is not alone, and that there are resources. I think there's a bigger message to the victim, is to learn to love yourself 100% inside and out, which people have told me for years. I didn't know what that means, but I think that's a journey we have to go on and see what the kind of relationship we're in. I think another message, and the character Tom, who is played by Vincent, it's so hard for friends and family, coworkers to imagine a sociopathic, charming, professional person to do such heinous things. And no one likes the idea of a person in charge of a family, loving, supporting, usually the father or maybe the mother or wife and husband, to be so destructive in a family unit. And so one thing I've been trying to promote is, let's be upstanders instead of bystanders. We have to help make the victims feel safe by really hearing them, that they're not crazy, they're not distracted, because what domestic violence does, it's a grooming, from the beginning. It can take days, months, or years. And so the victim gets caught up in this grooming, and they just start to doubt who they are. They don't have the confidence. The perpetrator, the abuser, is very good at isolating people. So there's a lot of projection. So I think the main thing is to do your research. 1 in 3 women are abused by an intimate partner, and 1 in 7 men. This numbers are, can change a little bit, but that's high numbers. So for me, question more, but listen to the person who's saying something's going wrong, and be objective. Be an upstander, don't be a bystander, and most importantly, just really learn to love yourself and not need someone to fill in your gaps.
Very true. Well, hopefully with this film we can help make those numbers go down a bit.
I hope so.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, Mimsey. We are so excited to see your film, and share it with the world. The film will be released on October 23rd, so make sure to follow Mimsey. And well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
And we're so excited to see your film.
Thank
Alrighty,
you.
Thank you, everyone.